Good evening. Welcome back to Haunting the Fireside, a show about ghosts and other mystical things. It's a chilly, rainy, windy night in the middle of October, the perfect storm for telling scary stories. We were waiting for you to arrive. Now that you're here, we can get started with another round of spooky tales. Please, get yourselves some refreshments, and if you don't mind, turn out those lights on your way back to the warm fireside. Tonight, we'll be exploring some local lore and legends. When it comes to paranormal activity in Stoneham, Massachusetts, the most popular rumor is that the high school auditorium is haunted. The origin of this legend remains shrouded in mystery, and its historical accuracy is difficult to ascertain. Yet, we would be wise to consider that every story, no matter how fictional or far-fetched, contains some kernel of truth. After all, it must have come from someone, somewhere. The tale of Lucy and her ghost takes us back to the 19th century. In those days, Franklin Street was, like much of Stoneham, heavily wooded and primarily used as farmland. Before the major developments that would take place in the 20th century, residents on the eastern side of town were surrounded by fields, swamps, and forests. We are told that Lucy was a child of 8 years, and that she loved to play in the woods on the edge of her family's farm. Growing up as an only child, Lucy had to use her imagination and youthful energy to occupy herself. Her parents knew that the nearby forest was her favorite place to play, so they set up a rope swing on one of the trees in the woods. Lucy played on that swing every day, as long as the sun was in the sky. But one day, while Lucy had been on the swing, the weather took a sudden turn for the worse. Dark, billowy rain clouds formed overhead, sharp gusts of wind pervaded the air, and a storm was soon upon her. Whether she was aware of this and decided to keep playing despite the danger, that she had been having so much fun that she didn't notice it, or that she had been frozen with fear, is unclear. The tragic climax of the story came when Lucy swung just a bit too hard on the swing and jumped off when she was still high in the air. She fell awkwardly on the ground and sustained a fatal injury to her neck. By the time Lucy's mother and father found her, she had already died. Severely distraught from their daughter's death, they made a gravestone near the same tree from which she used to swing and laid her to rest in the ground where it stood. In 1928, a farmer named Samuel Weiss purchased some real estate on Franklin Street and began selling milk and other farm-made products to the people of Stoneham. Although the business proved a success for decades to come, there was at least one tragedy in the farm's history. One afternoon in January of 1938, the body of a farmhand named Adam Lynch was found hanging from a rafter in the barn. His death was determined to have been suicide. While the reason was never disclosed, it seemed that the man had few, if any, connections to his family, and so was probably driven by loneliness, as well as the harsh New England winter, to take his own life. During the 1950s, the Stoneham School Committee requested the construction of a new junior high school to meet population and educational demands. Because there was little empty space left in town, the organization set its sights on a large tract of land across from the Weiss family farm. Sam and his son Philip were powerless in the face of eminent domain. They had been forced to sell that portion of their property so that it could be used for the common public good. This was a controversial move because it would involve displacing several families who still owned some of the adjoining pieces of land. Others argued that the marshy ground was a poor placement for a school. Nonetheless, the town went ahead with the process, paving a driveway for the schoolhouse, flattening the wild, inhospitable terrain, and cutting down trees, including one that had a rope swing hanging from its branches and a crudely fashioned gravestone standing at its roots. By the fall of 1969, Stoneham's new junior high school was fully operational. The auditorium especially served as the centerpiece for student activities. Lectures, film screenings, plays were all held in the 1,200-plus seat chamber. As the years passed, however, it proved to be a problem area. Its roof, in particular, was susceptible to leaks and needed to be repaired frequently, more so than any other place in the building. But the auditorium's recurring structural issues are mundane in comparison with its more mysterious quirks. Following the first renovation in 1979, strange things began to happen in the auditorium. Members of the drama club, who used the space more often than anyone else, were the first to suggest that it was home to an otherworldly occupant. They claimed that props would go missing and either would reappear in spots that had been previously checked or would vanish completely. Sturdy set designs would fall over constantly or would be inexplicably moved to a different part of the stage than from where they had originally been placed. In some of these instances, objects allegedly bore handprints, caked with dirt or dust, which looked like they belonged to a small child. No one except members of the drama club and theater crew had access to this equipment. It was kept under lock and key during the day and brought out only for practices and live productions. Even then, members of the public, let alone children, were never allowed anywhere near the set, unattended. After a while, the drama club christened their paranormal visitor Lucy, a playful, childlike name, since it seemed that she was just a mischievous, harmless ghost. Eerie goings-on continued after 1980, when the building was renamed the Stoneham High School and had been repurposed to provide education for a larger student body. Now, in the 21st century, many other students and faculty have had their own unexplainable experiences in the auditorium. One afternoon in 2006, a class had been placed in the auditorium for study hall. As one would expect in a high school setting, the students were spread throughout the chamber-like room. One of the members of that group, a sophomore student, sat alone off to the far side of the auditorium. While she was doing some assigned reading for one of her courses, she was bothered every now and then by a sensation of cold. The feeling would come and go sporadically, so that she was unable to numb herself to it. She looked above and around her, searching for a fan or vent that she might have unwittingly sat next to. As her eyes scanned her surroundings, they fell on a silhouette, which appeared to be that of a little girl, standing and staring at her from behind the curtain on the left-hand side of the stage. From the angle where she was sitting, the student was the only person in the room who was able to see this, whoever or whatever it was. When she tried to focus her vision on the form, it disappeared. Perplexed and a little unnerved, the student began to wonder whether there really was someone or something there, or if it was just a figment of her imagination. A janitor had been working after hours one cool yet clear and calm evening in March of 2011. He was, to his knowledge, the only person in the building at the time. During a shift that started as ordinarily as any other, he had been vacuuming the floor in front of the stage when the lights flickered, remained steady, then shut off. The vacuum's power was cut, and he was thrown into darkness. A dim ray of light shone from the lobby, just beyond the auditorium's open double doors. Thinking that another faculty member assumed that the auditorium was empty and had turned out the lights, the janitor called out to indicate his presence. He waited, but his exclamation was met with silence. Trying to mask his growing unease, he muttered curses to himself as he forged his way toward the auditorium's entrance, where there was a switch that controlled some of the overhead lights. He had taken only a few strides in that direction when all the lights were turned back on. The vacuum, still plugged in, let out its loud, high-pitched whirring sound, which made the janitor nearly jump out of his skin. After he turned it off and recomposed himself, he expressed his thanks, standing in quiet anticipation for the perfunctory apology of one who has realized his or her mistake. There was no reply, nor was anyone near the light switch. Someone must have been managing the lights from backstage, he thought. Suddenly, the janitor heard a which echoed throughout the auditorium. It sounded like soft footfalls made by small shoes on a hard wooden surface. He spun around and gazed toward the stage, with its navy blue velvet curtains drawn together. The janitor climbed the stairs to the stage and inched towards the dark wall of fabric. While keeping his distance, he called out to whoever may have been on the other side of it. The footsteps then ceased, and for a time, there was no movement. But the silence was soon interrupted by the sound of rope being stretched, which persisted for several moments, until finally, something behind the curtain crashed to the wooden floor with a thud. Galvanized by a mixture of fear, curiosity, and a sense of responsibility, the janitor rushed forward and parted the curtains to see a vacant, half-lit backstage. He looked around at the scene. The only rope he could see was that which is used for hoisting actors in parts of the set for live performances. However, no one else was in sight, nor was there an object that could have hit the floor without damaging it. The auditorium was dead quiet, and it stayed that way, even up to the time when the janitor finished his shift. When he was on his way out, he made sure that he was standing outside the auditorium before he shut off the last light, all without looking over his shoulder at whoever, or whatever, may have been watching him leave. It has been nearly a year since the high school was renovated once again. If the ghost of Lucy really exists, then who knows what other phantom tricks she has in store for students and faculty. Is her haunting still limited to the auditorium, or has she extended her spirit games to the rest of the building? Only time will tell.